Ngayon naman ay nobela at magbuhang karamdaman.
Ito talaga itong workshop na ito para sa akin.
Sayang ako lang ng ating manggagamot na si Brother Bean. Pero nasa show pa rin natin ang ating medical expert medical consultant na si Dr. Ron tungkol sa brain disease. So, ang concerned citizen ngayon, si Jerry Los Baños, he teaches English and creative writing. He's a faculty member of the DECL. He's the author of a previous novel, Playing It Safe, published by Cacho Publishing, and co-editor of the CNF anthology, UP Diliman, Home and Campus, published by the UP Press. He currently serves as Deputy Director of the UP Press and Vice Chair of the UP System Bids and Awards Committee. So matagal na siya sa Deputy Director sa UP Press, over 10 years na yata. There are 3 directors, starting with Dr. Hidalgo, and now with Dr. Neil Garcia. So those of you who are interested in publishing with UP Press, like Ron, you know who to talk to. So be careful what you say the next hour. Okay, so Jerry.
Magandang umaga. Dito lang po sinadya pa yung ordering ng workshops for today. Una yung kay Paul, tapos ngayon yung akin na walang lunas, yung sakit. Pero, okay. Good morning. I'm Jerry Los Baños. My genre is realistic fiction in English for young adults. My first and only novel was published over 15 years ago. Next slide, please. There it is, being sold on the clearance rack of Anvil. That photo was sent to me Monday by Anvil's creative director, Jordan Santos. Uy, nakita ko dito mo, nandiyan sa clearance rack. Naubos mo na. This was over 15 years ago, and since then I've been occupied by teaching and administration and editing, and writing's taken a backseat to most of my work. In fact, I don't think it's that hard anymore. Around 6 years ago, though, I was given, to my surprise, a small grant by my department that required me to come up with a creative work connected to my area of specialization. And of course, that again would be the young adult novel. My first novel focused on a fairly safe and typical story about teenage infatuation set against a familiar college background. And so I decided to push the envelope, raise the stakes, so to say, for my next book. And so conceptualize a story featuring revolving around my favorite type of young adult protagonist, a male student athlete, and through a few problems along his way. One of those being an inoperable brain tumor. Before I go on, I suppose I should provide a brief background of how and why I write and what I choose to write. I chose the YA genre as my area of specialization. Well, at least back when I was starting to write, it was a neglected area of literature in the Philippines. Teenagers resorted mostly to Western-oriented novels, and I, on the encouragement of my then mentor, pioneering writer for young adults, Carla Pasis, decided, okay, I'll try to provide the young reader with literature in English for their age group that features Filipino characters in a Philippine setting. In keeping with the new realism trend in the 1960s, I took a warts and all approach to presenting these stories. Realistic characters experiencing realistic problems in a realistic world. The problem novel is what they called it back then, which was based on the philosophy that young people will have a better chance of understanding their world if their expectations are realistic and they are made aware of both the positive and negative things about the society they live in. And what could be more negative than facing a life-threatening affliction at a young age? Admittedly, this decision was prompted by an article I mentioned in my poetics essay, which you have, that identified a number of successful recent novels as sick lit and labeled them as exploitative and unethical. Next slide, please. Mawkish at best, exploitative at worst, questionable as to not sparing any teeth of the harsh realities of terminal illness, depression, and death. These are some of the ways that the author described these novels which dealt with uh, protagonists experiencing terminal illness. Next slide. These are some of the titles. You might be familiar with a few of them. Next slide. These are, the handling are very uneven, but I might talk about them a little bit as I go on. So these weren't exactly models for my own writing, but I took ideas of how to do and how not to do certain scenes from these popular novels featuring dying young adult protagonists. My stories are very character-centered, and as with my previous novel, I did not have a very clear plot in mind at the beginning. I conceptualized the protagonist, imbued him with a personality. I gleaned that personality from experiences with friends, from my own football past, gave him what I felt to be an interesting social and economic background, made him aware of his afflictions, and then imagined how he would deal with the situation he was faced with. I consciously and I hope discreetly inserted elements in the setting and situations that reflected socio-economic issues in the country as experienced and perceived by the protagonist. It's first person, so everything is filtered through his consciousness. As the plot began to crystallize, I did my medical research, wanting the story to be faithful to the science. I consulted doctors to get a better picture of how such a situation would play out and be dealt with here in the Philippines. And in fact, just a few days ago, I did further consultations with our resident fellow doctor here and found out I need to change quite a few scenes that deal with the medicine, and I'm working on that as early as now. From all that emerged the second draft of my novel. I did draft my second novel. As I mentioned already in the essay that you have, some of the issues I found myself reflecting upon were ethical ones. I think I discussed in your kit the equivalent of cultural appropriation. Who was I to assume how a young individual would think and feel when struck with a life-threatening disease? But rather than be paralyzed by this, I decided to simply ensure that the science and medicine behind the story be as accurate as possible. I also tried to deal with the issue of my protagonist being defined by his illness. Does he stop thinking about other YA concerns because of his affliction? In the Girl Next Door by Casanova, one of the major issues discussed by the critic were how the protagonist, I think he was 15, decided that he did not want to undergo chemotherapy. Well, after he found out that it would weaken him, it would make him unable to perform certain things. The reason, because he did not want to stop having sex with his girlfriend. And so the critics were saying, what kind of attitude is that? What kind of ideas are you planting in the young reader? And while I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it, it also raised the question, this is a young adult. There are things important to him. These things are important to him. Possibly more important than things that adults might consider. Like I said, I'm not saying that this was the right thing, but I'm not all on board of castigating the writer for making that decision, because I do believe that there are young adults who will make that decision. And so that also entered the picture when I was deciding upon my protagonist's decisions in life. I submitted the finished work to a commercial publisher. That was around 3 years ago, and received some initial feedback, some among them suggestions about cutting out some descriptions of the sports action and coming up with a more satisfactory ending. I was resistant at the first suggestion. One of the things which one of my advocacies in writing is the effective integration of sports into Philippine fiction. I've always found some irony in the fact that we Filipinos are a sports crazy country, but sports in our literature is largely absent, at least in English literature. Nobody uh, All sports that I've seen in Philippine Lit tend to be incidental, with very little actual action or explanation or integration of the actual sporting event into the plot. The second suggestion I expected, because as I too was not quite satisfied with how I ended the piece. The copies you have right now do not include the ending, but I will be flashing the concluding paragraph on the screen a little later. If you grab the excerpt from my novel in your kits, you have an idea of the story arc. I hope. Pasensya na kayo. I know I have the longest text among all the submissions, as well as a picture of how the protagonist deals with the problems facing him. I hope to get some comments and reactions concerning the narrative style and pace, but perhaps more importantly, the internal monologue. I've always believed that the success of any work of fiction, particularly YA fiction, hinges greatly on the writer's ability to convincingly portray how a character thinks and feels in situations and encounters. That's where the character becomes real and sympathetic to the reader. Okay, here's the problem now. As the novel began to approach its conclusion, I realized that I had sort of dug myself a hole with regard to how to end things. What was the purpose of a YA novel whose ending held no hope for the protagonist insofar as survival was concerned? What sort of audience was I addressing? Though it has long been a tradition of what modern YA novels, as I said earlier, provide the world warts and all, the tenet of leaving your young reader with hope remains. Thou shalt leave your reader with hope. I don't remember who said that, but it's it's still, I think, a very uh, popular theme in young adult novels. It may actually be easier to justify the use of scenes in YA novels which show drug use, even death, if we are to assume that the rendering of such scenes and situations are to serve as a cautionary tale against such vices or actions. But what value does portraying the suffering and impending death of a young protagonist as she struggles against a force that simply cannot be overcome? The obvious answer is that exposure to such would provide the young readers with a stable foundation upon which he or she can stand and face the unpleasant realities of the world. In this case, a reality that he or she may not necessarily experience firsthand. I don't know, but I did read that juvenile cancer patients are quite a small majority, a small percentage of patients. But what she or she might very well encounter in different forms, such as if it hit a relative or a friend. Witness, if vicariously, how fellow youngsters cope with affliction can be, if not instructive, an eye-opener, if the situation is handled properly by the writer, which I hope I did to some extent in this novel. Okay, so now like I said, my biggest question with this project is how to end it. The plot flow, the encounters, I think I can deal with those things with some revision, but I have not quite decided how I want this to end. The thing is, the affliction that I've chosen to give my protagonist would inevitably end in death. And here's how it works. At the end of the novel, the protagonist has his family rally around him. He's a product of a his mother's a single parent. As you probably figured out, he gets the girl. Whatever the reasons are for that, we are not sure of. He gets to connect with his other family, his father's family. So he meets his sisters for the first time. And they're of course very supportive of his situation. His mother is finally happy with her current boyfriend, who is also very helpful and supportive. In other words, everything's working great. Everything's working out. The only problem is he's dying. And as Neil said, how could I be so cruel? And I told him about this. What was I doing? Next slide, please. This is the end. This is the final paragraph. Lila and Michelle, those are his stepsisters, both embraced me and gave me knowing smiles when I introduced Denise to them. I was thankful that neither asked if she was my girlfriend because I honestly had no idea what I would say. They settled down in armchairs on opposite ends of the sofa where Denise and I were seated. He was already undergoing radiotherapy here. Denise had propped up the pillow, so I was resting my scrawny frame against her shoulder. As Lila and Michelle started asking subtle, probing questions about the two of us, e.g., how long have you and Benjamin known one another? I felt Denise's hand creep towards mine under the pillows and grasped it. I leaned in closer and was soon resting my bulging head on her shoulder. My half-sisters were tactful enough not to react too obviously, but there was no controlling their eyebrows. This was nice. Heck, this was probably as good as it was gonna get for me. If this was the sort of extra time my treatment would buy me, then maybe it would be actually worth it. I just wish it would last a little, no, a lot longer. And that ends the story. And thank you very much for listening. I look forward to all your suggestions.
Thank you, Jeremy. So, shall we take a vote on the end? I remember some years back there was a German movie that had two endings, and before they showed it, someone would come on stage and ask the audience which ending they wanted to see. So yeah, so the majority wins. They will only show the ending that the majority, the audience wants to see, wanted to see. Anyway, so we'll open the floor now for discussion. Anything you'd like? Dr. Abad?
Fellows first.
Fellows first.
Just raising my hand, so I want
Si Ron naman, I saw you.
So I already gave Jerry my neurosurgical feedback on how we could tweak the story. So now I told you no, kasi yung diagnosis niya dun sa case, it's something I actually commonly see in clinic. I see about 5 to 10 patients with such disease. It's a horrible disease wherever you are. Usually they're much younger, 4 to 8 years old. And can you imagine having to talk to their parents, telling them that the child, on the average, ang survival is 9 months from the time of diagnosis. Now, I was telling you that the crucial thing here, because this is an adolescent, very crucial, for example, yung scene na hinihintay niya yung nanay niya habang kausap yung doktor. So that's a very good scene where he could be contemplative. Kasi ano kaya pinag-usapan nila? Bakit ang tagal-tagal? Well, here, how it's written, it's medyo glossed over lang. Parang bilis-bilis lang. When actually, maraming pwedeng mangyari. Doon talagang pinag-iisipan niya, ano kaya yun? Ano kaya mangyayari? Mamamatay na ba ako? Or baka naman ano lang yan. So, yun yung pwedeng manifest from. Now, as he has discussed, so reading this, I now ask myself, once this novel is finished, would I recommend this to the parents of my kids diagnosed with brain cancer? So that's one thing I begin to ask myself. No? So kung meron akong pasyente na may brain cancer, i-recommend ko ba po basahin mo to? No? Basahin mo to. Would I actually... So, kaya mahirap yung ginagawa ni Jerry. Kasi if it's too hopeful, you're giving it false hope. Pero kung masyado namang morbid, then you would have a throng of angry parents who might start a Facebook page, ban Jerry Los Baños' book on brain cancer. And that could happen. That could happen if they find the content offensive. That could happen if they find the content offensive. So this is really, kasi I'm beginning to wonder, what would my kids, what would the kids get from this story? It is a good story, and I like that it has training support. No? Because, so, ang ano ko lang talaga is, I wish you would really expand on that, on the contemplative moments, no? The moments of solitude. The moments because teenagers, usually they're not very sharing with their parents. Ako, honestly, sabi ko nga sa mga pasyente kong may brain cancer, birang-bira kasi tatanungin ko sa assassin, may tanong pa ba sa akin? Very few of them would actually say, Doc, mamamatay na ba ako? So, hindi sila magtatanong ng ganun sa akin. Usually, ngingiti lang yan. Tapos, and I also hope you again, when you deal with, sabi ko naalala ko yung sabi ko, focus on the humanity. So it really, when you write something like this, you really need to focus on the humanity. the moment, because kids are very resilient. We usually underestimate their resilience. Sabi ko kaya gusto ko nag-opera ng mga bata kasi biyakin mo yung ulo nila, after 4 or 5 days, nag-high five na yan sa'yo, nakakiti na yan sa'yo. Yung mga matatanda, pag inoperahan mo after 4 days, 5 days, masakit pa rin ulo ko. So yun lang. No? And again, no, ang ano lang siguro is, I just also hope, and on a side note lang, I hope, medyo elitista kasi yung, ano, no, yung tingin ko dun sa main character. Medyo, hindi ko lang alam kung kasi, sana mas, hindi ko alam kung gusto mo, yun talaga yung, ano, yun talaga yung intent ko. Pero hindi ako sigurado kung magiging relatable ba siya dun sa general YA reader. So, yun hindi, again, hindi ako novela, pero again, yun yung tanong ko, no? Yun yung challenge. Kailangan likeable pa rin siya dun sa ano. Kasi, alam mo naman, di ba, kapag kunyari, barkada, di ba? Uy, call niya, ayoko dyan. So, parang gano'n. So, yun yung isa ding challenge for me.
Okay, baka it might sell more books. You can start the Facebook campaign. Si Francis mo lang yan.
To give you a background, when I was 17 years old, I was diagnosed with stage 3 testicular cancer. No? That was in 1999. And I've been in remission for almost 20 years now. So, and when Sir Jerry first talked about this project, a few years ago during his professorial lecture talk, I think I said a little something about it. And sabi niya, kausapin kita about it pagka nabuo na siya. And nabuo na pala siya. No? And this is it. No? Hindi ako nakausap, walang concentration. This is the experience. Anyway, siguro yung ano kay Sir Jerry, parang if you're problematizing the ending, parang ang ano ko siguro parang maybe it's first, no? Parang it's best to look first. Kasi parang when it comes to the disease, parang sometimes the destination doesn't really matter. No? Kasi whether or not you live or die, your life changes. No? Parang it's a life-changing thing. No? Feeling ko parang kailangan bitawan muna yung problematizing the ending and more of looking at the journey of the character. No? When I was reading through the draft, napansin ko na parang naging crux ng novel ay yung the romantic angle, no? Which is siguro dahil yun yung parang nagiging almost archetypal na approach ng siklit, no? Sa pag-discuss ng pagkakaroon ng sakit, gagamitin natin yung the romantic feelings, no, of the YA character as a way of processing, no, the feelings of mortality, no? And that's, I think, yun yung parang, although the character in this story sort of ruminates about mortality, parang nadidistract siya, so nadidistract yung sarili niya with a romance, no? Pero this is my experience, and it's siguro it's very specific, no? Ang nangyari sa akin nung na-diagnose ako, and when my friends found out, naging alienating experience siya for everyone, no? Like, hindi sila bumibisita sa akin, and ako rin naman, hindi rin ako nag-e-effort na kausapin sila, kasi parang, yun nga parang a few months later, no, nung natapos yung chemotherapy sessions, and nakakalabas-labas na ako, no, I attended the debut of my friend, no, so syempre, vocals ako, wala akong buhok, wala akong kilay, ganyan. And then pagdating ko doon, unang tambad ng friend ko, kala namin patay ka na. Parang oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
May brain
Pero,
problem ba siya?
so parang, feeling ko, dahil napaka-warm and inclusive nito, parang it doesn't portray the alienation of the sickness. No? Kasi, one of the things when you undergo radiation therapy or chemotherapy, bababa yung, I don't know this, no? Your immunity bababa, no? So, hindi ka nga ilalagay sa ward, ilalagay ka sa solitary, no? And I remember, pinaka kong moments niyan, kasi dahil big boy ako, kahit nung bata ko, my treatment would last for days, no? And so, for days, kaming dalawa lang ng tatay ko yung nandun sa isolation room. No? And nakwento na yun, yung beses na kwento ng tatay ko, kwento ng buhay niya. Yung books niya, binabasa ko na, yung books ko, binabasa niya na rin. So, parang yun yung hinahanap ko dun sa work, no? Kasi it's very social, no? Pero answer is alienating, no? And then, tatulunan ko na rin yung sinabi ni Ron na I think yung socio-economic situation ng protagonist, my experience with the disease is, although kasi lower middle class yung family ko, no? So by the third or second, no? Second pa lang, chemotherapy session, sumusulat na ako sa PCSO, nasulatan ko na lahat ng senador, nasulatan ko na yung Malacanang, no? Kahit asar ako sa mga senador, parang, dear, ganto, kasi iniisip ko parang, shit, parang minumura-mura ko to dati, pero nangingi ako ng pera. Pero, that is what is necessary, no, to survive. So I think parang to make the experience more relatable, no? Kasi parang to relate to sa comment ni Sir Jerry, Sir Roland, no, ng isang araw na yung traffic as a great equalizer, merong mistaken belief, no, na yung cancer ay sakit ng mayayaman, no? Pero actually, sakit siya ng lahat, no? Pero your experience of treatment, no, is quite different. So, kung magka-cancer ka and you have the money, you can actually go overseas, no, and seek mga experimental treatments kung makapasok ka sa programs na yon. Pero kami, dahil wala akong pera, no, sa East Avenue ako, nagpa-chemotherapy. So, whenever I would go into chemotherapy treatment, because I had to be admitted, I would have to sit for hours sa emergency room, no? And yun nga, nakakatawa, no? Parang you're facing your mortality and sometimes nakaupo kang ganun, pas may papasok na gurney, and then may namamatay na tao, no? Pas minsan mamamatay siya sa harapan mo, pas iiwan siya ng family, iiwan siya ng doktor, pas nakaupo ka lang doon kasi nag-aantay ka nung ma-admit ka. So I think yun yung klase ng yung aspect ng experience, no? Ng pagkakaroon ng ganitong sakit na medyo siguro hahanapin ko pa dun sa further development ng novel. And whether the novel ends happily or sadly, no, parang feeling ko for a reader, no, lalo na for a reader na sabi nga ni Ron, no, would be facing this kind of disease, parang that would also be enriching, no, kasi then you get to experience what it's really like, no? But yun lang. Thank you.
Si Egis.
Wala po akong masyadong alam sa novela, pero so yung dalawang bagay na gusto kong i-point out ay siguro nagagalit bilang mababasa. Nung sinabi mong nung sinabi mong yung ending nito ay mamamatay siya, unang pumasok sa utak ko, paano niyo papatayin yung narrator? So na-excite ako sa idea malaman kung paano mo siya gagawin. So inisip ko para ba tong Sunset Boulevard na ano yun. At even after the death, nagkukwento pa din siya. So excited ako doon. And then when you saw it, I loved how it ended. No? Nakakaiyak. Hindi ko pa nababasa itong novela, naiyak ako sa final part. So parang I loved it. I loved how it ended. And gusto ko nang basahin ko. Yun yung una. Pangalawa, gusto kong purihin yung action ng sports na sa tingin ko tama yung decision mo na i-keep siya. Napanood ko yung game. Nag-enjoy ako. Ang bilis kong nadaanan yung unang chapter kasi napanood ko yung game at nakakatuwa siya at wala akong masyadong mababasang ganun sa literature natin. So, yung gusto kong purihin na nanood ako ng pelikula sa novela ko. So, yan.
Si Maine and then Sarah.
Good morning, sir. So, for me, parang there is always something about dying protagonists na due to a terminal illness that turns me off somehow. Kasi nabanggit din naman sa poetics, di ba? We have The Fault in Our Stars, we have A Walk to Remember, we have Me and Earl and The Dying Girl, yung mga ganyan. So parang somehow it romanticizes terminal illness. So yun yung worry ko nung nabasa ko yung poetics and then nung nag-start akong mag-dive in dun sa novel. Pero nabawi naman kasi nga, nabanggit naman talaga na you are focusing on the characterization rather than dun sa magpapaiyak ako kasi mamamatay si protagonist, di ba? So, actually, naalala ko yung mga estudyante ko dito ng senior high school kasi senior high school, although accounting naman yung itinuturo ko, pero kasi kapag nagtatanong ako ano binabasa nila, they will say, A Walk to Remember, The Fault in Our Stars, and then I will ask them, bakit? Anong maganda? And then they will simply answer, nakakaiyak. So yung parang, yun lang yung ano nila doon lang yung gusto nila. So, minsan, sana, yun yung goal din siguro nung novel na ito, I think, na hindi i-limit doon, na makapagpaiyak lang, na doon lang sa emotion mag-focus. Kaya natuwa ako na athlete yung protagonist, kasi nga, yun, meron kaming another side na makikita, and then ang ganda ng pagkakabuo dun sa character. Ang siguro mako-comment ko lang is, I think more on
nasa
telling pa
teenager
so
siya.
far. Lalo na
Mga
yung
ganun,
chapter 7,
senior high school
is
na.
there a
Sabi
particular
niya sa
reason
poet.
kung bakit inilagay yung researches doon ng gano'n, yung parang with link? Kasi kung YA talaga ang gusto mong maging target readers, kasi parang kung ako yung reader siguro, tapos inaalala ko yung mga estudyante ko, hindi nila babasahin yan. Yung part na yun, lalo na yung may mga link-link, doon na sila diretso agad sa narration ng first ano. And then, siguro ang suggestion lang is baka pwedeng i-insert yon in a way na hindi siya magmumukhang sobrang technical. Kasi yun din naman yung target Di ba? Kung masyadong technical, baka hindi nila ma-digest or medyo mabore yung ganong fear. And then, pero I think it is a very brave attempt to change the landscape of fiction when it comes to writing sequel. Kasi nga sabi ko nga medyo turn off siya because it is romanticizing. Pero sobrang brave kasi gagawin mo siya, sir. And excited akong malaman kung saan patungo. Hindi lang yung ending. Mas gusto kong malaman yung mangyayari in between rather than the ending. So yan po.
Si Sarah and then Jerome.
Hi, Jerry. I think, so I'll start with the positive traits. I think one of your strongest traits as a writer is yung use of powerful verbs, no? Sabi nga ni X, the way you describe the sport is like it has come alive. No? Parang you write like a Sports Illustrated writer, which is a compliment. No? Kasi ang hirap-hirap nilang hindi lang run ang ginagamit nila lagi or fall na verbs. No? Makita niyo sa page 131, for example, no? Yung paragraph before the chapter 2 ba? Para lang may example. Second paragraph before the second paragraph before the end, no? Yung things got a little more interesting. For example, look at these verbs: proud, spread, converge, no? Yung mga verbals nila, darting, forcing. So hindi boring yung atake niya dun sa scene, no? So I'm glad you did not take that out. Meron ng mga questions about the whole project. No? Siguro yung pinaka-importanting question ko is, what does the writer intend to tell the reader? And what does the reader take away from this? When your readers will be alive after reading this story. Kina-question ko yung focus sa yung narrator mamamatay. Not about death per se, no, but the way it ends. So, okay, after I've read this, what is my takeaway as a reader? Yun yung big question ko. Pwede ba kayang ang perspective na lang ay from the yung friend niya. Na this story is told from a friend or a family member's point of view, so that my takeaway as a reader is this is how I'm going to deal with death of a loved one. Kasi parang sa ngayon, hindi ko makita anong takeaway ko to. Kaya ganun bang mamatay at ano ngayon ang gagawin ko after this book. Siguro yung sa mga suggestions, yung sa chapter 7 ba, notes mo lang ba yun? Or ganun talaga yung format nung may literature nung sickness?
Since we already those were meant to mimic the protagonist's online research. Once he found out what he had, siyempre, as Ron would tell you, the doctor will not provide that much detailed information, and the parent, of course, may not be ready to provide it as well directly. So, the irony about today's young adult is the access to knowledge. One of the defining aspects that the young adult protagonist had from the differentiating of the adult protagonist in the past was lack of knowledge. You could always assume that the adult character had more knowledge than the young adult character. That's no longer true with the rise of the internet. The young adult character, our protagonist, has a much greater capacity to gather knowledge and information. Of course, processing that knowledge is something completely different. And so that was what that's meant to do. Maybe I put too many of those research notes that was also mimic his online research. Or maybe I need a stronger, how do you put this, prompt to show that that's what he's doing, surfing the internet.
Thank you. Yung next comment ko is, clearly the audience is middle upper class, no? Which is fine with me really. But siguro yung, pwede ko kasi siyang i-transpose sa like an American culture and it would still work. So I'm looking for a cultural grounding, more of that. Yung kiss, medyo na-off ako doon na para siyang sex, no? Yung relationship nila na it's the kiss happened immediately after the girl found out that the boy was sick. So medyo hindi ako mapakali dun sa ganung idea. Yung next comment ko, kung patutuloy mo yung plot, no? Maybe you could also look at it from another perspective na hindi siya sick-lit, no? Kasi ticking time bomb siya. So, when we use that technique in literature, there's the pressure of time, tapos you have to raise the stakes, no? Kasi binigay mo lahat ng info early on about hindi mamamatay talaga siya at wala nang katapusan yun, wala na siyang chance. So maybe you could delay that kung ticking time bomb yung plano ng gamitin technique. And then create false turns, maybe like may false hope somewhere na mukhang mamamubuhay naman siya. Para rin mas clear yung narrative arc. Kasi ngayon parang, for me, okay, alam na natin sa simula pa lang na mamamatay siya. So parang patuloy natin siyang masamahan sa pagkalugmok. So wala siya masyadong dynamism for me in terms of plotting. From the reader's point of view. And maybe another thing that you could explore, kasi nilamp mo sa isang paragraph yung, alam mo yung stages of grief once you find that you have a terminal illness or any illness or you're grieving. Nilamp mo lang siya sa isang paragraph, tapos doon na tayo mismo sa, okay, parang maybe if he would be angry, he would be hopeless, he would be in denial, and these could be more fleshed out and seen in different chapters. Maybe that would help instead of just lumping it and then parang telling it in one paragraph and then nandun na tayo sa huli na acceptance and all that. Sorry? Nandun ba yun? Hindi ko matandaan which scene Parang nandun na siya tapos kung galit siya sa Diyos, and then you can use yung anger. So wala pa yun hindi pa siya lumalabas siya sa nanay more of that, hindi dun sa hindi sa character, lumabas yung sorrow sa mga friends, hindi naman talaga sa masyado sa yung external no, mula sa character mo. Yeah, so maybe you could also use that as a guide, yung the stages of grief. To improve the narrative. Yun lang.
Charles,
Okay,
I have a
Sarah.
question, Charles.
Okay.
Jerry, I just want to clarify something. These are excerpts, right? So there are huge chunks missing in between.
This would be around maybe 1/4 of the entire novel.
Yeah, but I mean, kasi merong chapter 3 and chapter 7, yan. So we are not seeing what's happening in the meantime.
Yes.
Oh, kasi I was...
This is a complete novel.
So, and then we're close to the... What I mean is, it's difficult to comment on whether your development of the feelings of the protagonist are well done or not, because they're not here yet. Diba? He just receives the news, and then somewhere towards the end, he tells the team, tama ba? Kasi hindi pa natin nakikita yung treatments wala dito eh. So, mahirap ipakita yung stages ng yung grief, anger, etc., because they're not here yet.
I actually chose these excerpts from what I thought would best show the story arc.
Oo, the story arc lang.
But nevertheless, these comments are very helpful because I know I addressed some of the comments that Sarah made in the chapters that aren't here. But again, yes, there are ones that I did not address. So these comments remain helpful to me because I know that I kind of addressed some of them in the missing chapters, but they are still very helpful because may mga iba na talagang okay, kailangan kong pag-isipan kung idadagdag ko ba to, pati kay Francis, okay, I need to rethink kung talagang can I do more to make it more grounded in the reality here. Although yes, medyo mayaman pamilya nun eh. But I do hope that what I did include helps the reader follow. This is the general direction that
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that before I made my own comment.
Trailer kasi ito.
Trailer,
Abangan ng showing.
Yeah, that's what I figured it was.
So, Jerome, Anna, and
Wait,
Deborah.
Charles, I haven't made my comment yet. I only was asking kung marami bang gaps, yun, kasi hindi klaro sa akin. Anyway, so now that I know what it is, I want to congratulate you on the creation of that character. I think that's very well done. And I'm very interested in the fact that he is an athlete, which means he's a young man at the peak of his physical powers, di ba? And the devastation of the news that this life is going to be cut short, that's a very poignant thing. I think it was realistic that the effects of the disease are not immediately known kasi he's strong, no? He's physically strong. So that I would think that the deterioration is not going to be quick. Kasi I don't know, I'm not, thank God that no one has died of cancer in my family. But I've watched it in other families and I've seen how habang mas malakas yung tao, mas matagal nga yung kasi lumalaban yung katawan. Anyway, that's I appreciated the creation of that character. And of course, he would be distracted by a beautiful girl. He's also a man at the peak of his sexual powers, diba? So I appreciated that very much as well. I was wondering when Sarah mentioned, was it you, Sarah, who said there's hardly anything Filipino about it? My experience of sickness and death, watching it firsthand in my own family and others, is that we're very religious. I mean, the Catholic faith comes out when we are in trouble of this sort. So the first thing that the mother will do is go to church and stuff like that. And what school does this boy belong to? Is this a Catholic school? No. It's not. So he's not in any way really attached to a God. Wala. Kasi wala yun eh. That's one thing that makes Filipinos, I think it's a very normal reaction. The other thing was the fact that he was well off. I think there was an attempt on your part to soften that the impression that this is for the elite, no? The readers of this will only be the elite. Because you brought in the volunteer work of Denise and the description of the ward, the children's ward, hindi yata yung nakikita dun sa mga ospital sa mga ibang bayan, ano? The wards there are never like this, where they would smell of urine. Or am I wrong here? Because I saw this also in the Philippine Heart Center, how, you know, the families are sleeping in the corridors, they're eating there, they bring in their children who are healthy, and the children are lying on the floor and all of that. That makes it Filipino, I think. And that also brings in the other side, and how those who are terminally ill but have no money, how different is their experience from the one who is fairly well off. So I think it's there. I don't know if makukulangan pa rin ang readers mo kasi I don't think it would be fair naman to demand of someone who does belong to this class and therefore knows this class better that he should be dealing only with the poor. So I think the contrast for me is adequate. And I think it was realistic that he was turned off in the beginning, by the smells and having to put the child on his lap, who then na-stain yung kanyang jeans and all of that. But that he changed a little. And later, Denise is very different from him. And she was also from his class. So that's my comment so far. Oh, last. Good use of language. Yeah, you're handling the language is good.
I find the novel in progress very cinematic, para siyang movie. Pero sa tingin ko, parang ano siya, pwede pang maging ma-improve yung first chapter kapag sa tingin ko parang magiging ano na lang, imagination na lang yung game. Parang unconsciously or nasa MRI siya, para mas ma-highlight o ma-emphasize yung nawala sa kanya dahil doon sa sakit. Para ma-highlight yun na physical siya, di ba? Tapos there was certain change. Kasi parang sa tingin ko parang walang urgency doon sa first chapter sa magiging problema nung nobela later.
I mean, presented in the perspective.
Parang para sa akin parang mas okay na parang it would start with parang nasa MRI siya or unconscious siya, tapos yung game ay parang nasa memory part. Parang advice lang siya. You can follow or you can sige.
Ironically, I'm going the opposite direction. I'm doing a revision of this entire novel where I'm telling the entire story in present tense. All the actions happening. And I can show you a draft of that as well, because the urgency I feel is strengthened if the reader is in on the action in present tense. But I've only reached, I think, the third chapter in the revising of the tenses. So as you can see, I'm really entering many options on how to best finalize this piece. I'm afraid I don't know if I can include that idea of doing things in retrospect, because I do well in straightforward action. That's always been one of the things I know I do well. And I don't think I'm not sure if I can deliver that sort of action that you guys enjoy if he's just remembering it from that time of that piece itself, rather than going through the action itself. I don't know if I'm capable of that.
No problem.
So Anna, Denver, and Jun.
Sorry.
So just cancel me from the roster kasi na-cover na yung
Martir.
It's about the presence of God kasi, so yeah. So okay na yun.
Martin. Okay.
Hindi ba kita isa, sir? Okay. Dahil hindi kita isa, sir, Jerry. Nabanggit yung Fault in Our Stars, at alam kong divided din yung yung reception, pero sa akin personally, flawed siya, no? Pero effective. And remember, ako ay, yun nga, basically a healthy, able-bodied person, no? So I was wondering, actually looking at your novel, and listening to the reactions, kung sino actually talaga ang audience mo in mind, no? When you were writing it or as you're writing it. So that's one question. Second, okay, yung sa unang, actually, particularly siguro sa opening, no? Kasi I had some trouble figuring out how old the character was. And much of it had to do with word choice. Kasi especially in the opening paragraph, ang daming polysyllabic words that usually won't characterize a kid who says, I kinda. No? So on the one hand, I kinda siya, pero when we start, meron nung, and this is the the opening scene, no, na yung mga defensive, it's not even quote kumaga parang, even the phrasing of the, sorry, this is not my Mac, my laptop, but also I am, how does one, okay, slow, sorry, if I can just, yan na, nag-comment tuloy ako sa Wika dahil kay Ma'am Jing. Kasalanan po ni Ma'am Jing, sir. Pero, syempre, ang perspective ko nga kasi syempre ay fictionist. So, at characterization lang kasi. Ayun, yan. So, okay yung opening line sa akin, pero yung what often happens in football when a match is so important is that both sides play not to lose instead of actually trying to win. So, yun, medyo dahil yung phrasing, what often happens in football, yung ganun, medyo nag-stagger ako kasi inisip ko nga anong age ba ito. Pero okay pa. Pero yung pagdating na nga dun sa but Coach Val had ordered us to play a conservative defensive game, parang medyo sports commentator na yung nagsasalita. Unless nga na ang context or ang quote, parang kumbaga kina-quote niya actually si Coach Val. Yung ganong ano lang siguro. And then sa second paragraph, it's really just the choice of words na yun nga, hindi lang nagiging consistent kasi parang may respective, no? I really haven't met a 15 or 16-year-old who uses that unless paper, no? Pero kasi hindi naman paper. So kumbaga parang, I'm wondering about the tone actually and the voice. So for example, when Denise is mentioned, yung parang dinaanan na siya, parang, ano yun, yung phrase? I try to keep my composure. It's so, formal. Parang, bakit hindi I try to keep my cool or something like that. Yung ganun lang na, pag-establish lang ng tone, especially because it's the first scene, or the first few paragraphs. So, going back to characterization, di ba sabi, ako natutunan ko yata kay Sir Rene Villanueva to yung dimensions of character, physiological, psychological, sociological. So, yung nabanggit kanina na wala namang innately wrong with the social status of the character. I mean, okay lang namang maging mayaman, hindi mo siya kasalanan. Pero ang tanong ko from, yun nga, perspective of fiction, necessary ba na mayaman siya in the telling of the story? Is this really the kind, yun nga, is it, there's a term for it, pero yun nga, is it necessary to the story? And then, it's a doomed character, basically. So, agree ako dun sa yun nga, there would be that expectation na may metaphysical angst siya talaga. Of course, on the level of his age, pero magkakaroon talaga yun. Kasi nga, when you're faced with this sort of trial or tribulation, talagang you're forced to age actually. No? So kumbaga, I mean, parang war, sabi nga ni Hilda Cordero Fernando, or ni Carmen Nactila Guerrero, yung bigla kang patatandain ng war. Pero ito, yung war kasi niya, sarili niyang katawan. So, meron talagang ganong metaphysical angst na mangyayari. And then, going back to chapter 7, parang, I'm wondering kung there would be chapters nga na parang experimentation with form ang dating to kumbaga play around and yun nga, make more palatable yung idea of this kid researching. More palatable to the average reader. Kumbaga, sabi nga ni May na baka kasi iwasan na lang, no? So, parang pwede bang staggered na lang or yun nga parang may build up, may narrative din within the the selected quotes, no? So, ayun, yun lang.
Yung mas kumpa, yung paano gagawin siya mas powerful. Yung kasing title niya, Extra Time. So, given yun, may regular time. So, yun ang hahanapin natin, yung may de-develop. Kasi yun naman yung source ng drama. So, yung drama ay nandun sa extra time. Yung opening line mo, kaya yung sa taas may nakalagay agad excerpt eh. Kaya baka yung tanong ko hindi na valid. Napaka-powerful. It was an ugly game. Hanapin ko yun. Kaya lang, 1 page lang eh. Hindi ko naman nakita yung ugly game. Tapos, and not just because of mud and bruises. Ang daming drama nun. So, may drama na ba sa utak? May ano pa yung mga pressure. Tapos, Coach Val ordered yung conservative defensive team. Napaka-powerful. Tingin ko hindi yung madidevelop ng isang page. Baka yung whole chapter, kailan parang magiging letdown pagka yung biglang pagsak. It's a drain the previous night. Pagka yung binaba mo nun, nagdinoma ka lang na gano'n, in-expect ko tataas ka na naman. Pero pagdating sa second page, wala na, nakalimutan mo na yun. Mag-umpisa ka ng, let's go, Altius. Ibang drama na yun. So, hinahanap ko yung ano na yung nangyari doon sa ugly game. Pagkatapos, biglang nagsulputan yung intensity ng game. Dapat yung focus mo nandun doon sa game. Ganon ano, you have to win. Mga ganon-ganon. Suddenly, ang dami-daming tao na hindi naman pa siya related doon sa nangyayari. So, biglang nata doon si Bia, si Denise, si Marnie, yung inisip ko, yung eksena nag-demand ng yung intensity, na gusto ko yung opening eh. Kaya yun yung napakagandang point of attack noon. Na pag nag-succeed ka doon, magtutuloy-tuloy yun eh. Pagkatapos, nung papunta ka na sa last paragraph nitong yung chapter 1, yung intensity at saka yung suspense na wala. So yung inaabangan ko na i-develop mo yung ugly game na yan, yung mud and bruises. Tingin ko, dapat tumitaw kasi mawawala. Pagkatapos nun, pupunta ka na sa chapter 2. Tingin ko yung chapter 2, ang pinakamagandang opening doon, yung Benji's Alive. Ang problema naman, paano mo i-discuss yung hindi mo naman nakita dahil wala kang consciousness? Problema naman talaga yung pag sumunod ka ng first person point of view. Pagkatapos doon, parang nakalimutan mo na binalik mo na again, hindi pa timely. Ayan na naman sila Mia, sila Marty, sila Denise. So, mabuti nakita ni Ana, yung characterization, hindi naman pangalan lang yun eh. So, dapat, yung nakikita ko yung action, nakikita ko siya, pero yung mga taong binabanggit niya, hindi naman sila mga memorable, kahit na bag-girlfriend siya ni ganito, kahit na ba yung crush mo yun. Baka isang line o kapirasong description could help. Pagkatapos nun, yung hanggang chapter 7 lang yung i-discuss ko. Yung chapter 7, pupunta na yun sa yung hinahanap ko kanina, yung beyond mud and bruises. Dito na mag-uumpisa yung internal drama niya. Kaya kasi tapos na tayo yung nakita na natin yung mga tao sa paligid niya, ano yung nangyari. Tapos, pupunta ka na yun sa extended time. which is the real drama. I-introduce mo sa amin yun na yung gusto ko yung through the earphones I heard piano music. Ang gandang kontrapunto na yung kangina, yung putikan, galusan, bakbakan. Ito ngayon biglang, wow, no, nasa ibang, kasi pag naggagawa naman ng nobela, kahit na yung opening ng bawat chapters, mahalaga eh. So, saan ba ako magandang mag-umpisa? O alin yung imumove ko elsewhere? Tapos, I've been instructed to keep absolutely still. Wow! No, kaya lang, ready na ba ako pumunta doon? Hindi pa muna. Kasi hindi pa naman yung external struggle na yung binanggit mo kanina, hindi mo na fully utilize eh. Kaya ngayon nung pumunta kang second level, mag-i-introspective ako dito. Silent. No? Silent. And effective yun. Pinopoint out ko lang yung strength nung na pwede mo pang i-develop. Kaya lang, yung gusto ko yung i-develop mo. Ano yung thought mo? Ano yung review mo nung ano yung nangyari ng past few days? Kahit kila Denise. Kaya bigla mo ako yung pagdilat niya. Yung mga bata-bata naman yung doon. Yung kantong-kantong ng bata na parang siguro ang ano ko, yung magagandang opening mo, pwede ba i-expand mo? Parang yung suspense at saka yung intensity at saka yung suspense ng chapter 1, pwede ba i-push mo hanggang doon bago ka pumunta ng chapter 2? Parang kwan, kasi dinadala mo ako doon eh. Yung hinihingal ako tapos bigla mo lang ako iiwanan. Sumasabay ako doon. Pagkatapos ng pagdating ko sa chapter 7, hindi na ako ready. Yung mga research na ini-involve mo yung reader. I thought maganda mag-umpisa rin ng it was Mom who finally told me. So ang taas na naman nun, na ang dami mo namang ihintayon. Tapos mukhang yung ilang data doon, kailangan i-digest pa. Sino magsasabi nun? At what moment? Tapos unfolding yun eh. So yung character niya magkakaroon na ng transition. So yung mula rin sa self-confidence na laro lang ito, baka ito yung sa chapter 7, ito na yung magiging introspective na ba siya? Papunta na ba tayo finally doon sa yung added time, yung extra drama? So siguro yung on the whole, ang sinasabi ko lang, paano tumapos ng isang chapter? Siguro kaya yung ganun yung comment ko. Kasi yung mga chapters dito putol. Siguro kasi excerpt na kaya yung baka nga yung hinahanap ko na nasa idea form lang na isang paragraph na parang gano'n. Yung pagdating ko sa chapter 7, ang strategy mo all throughout, nakatingin ka lang eh. Yung inward, yung nakikita mo, pati yung dumi na natapakan mo, pati yung suot ng mga bata, pati yung weight na gano'n. Laging gano'n eh. In-expect ko sa chapter 7, magkakaroon na lang yung outward yung paningin mo, yung yung mga pagdating ng chapter 7, nung adudo ka nag-iisa, ano nangyayari? Ano yung nasa isip mo? Anong transformation yung nagaganap sa'yo? And then, yung drama, magkakaroon na ibang take. Yung mga binabanggit ko na yun, isa yun sa maraming estilo, na pagka gumagawa ka ng nobela, na yung ginaguide mo yung reader, unti-unting gano'n yan. Until finally, yung pagdating ko, pag lumagpas ka ng ng chapter 7, ito na yung young boy na YA, na siya ay complex character din pala. Na yung meron siyang sariling problema, may sarili siyang mundo, at meron siyang mga issues na dapat i-resolve. Ang ano ko dalhin mo kami doon. Dalhin mo kami gradually. Pagka yung over the hump ka na pagka yung drama yung dapat bumagsak sa ganito. Pagkatapos mo, yung pagkabanggit ko na yun, palagay ko magiging smooth sailing na. Ano man yung gusto mong ending.
Hi, sir. Ano po? I agree with Sarah, what Sarah said earlier about raising the stakes. Kasi while I was reading, I was looking for yung conflict. Kasi like if he has everything right going for him except that he's dying, what else is he going to contend with? And so it's either you raise the stakes or I think you go quiet. With that ending, when he asked, I wish that I could just get a little more time as an ending for the novel. I feel like he's probably going to move through in between acceptance, then defiance, then denial. So, and then it's going to be interesting for an athlete in life. If he's never really thought, kasi my sentence done, I never really thought about how I would die. And maybe that's the thing that most teenagers would get out of this. They don't think of dying, but then when they have to think about dying, how is death hovering over every little interaction that he has with his life changes perspective, which is why I like your present tense idea, because everything is immediate. So I'm kind of imagining all the big action scenes in the game, and then suddenly, whoosh, being quiet, kasi he realizes something because his perspective is changed. I'm enjoying this game, but I probably won't be around for next season. It's parang diba? I'm looking for little realizations like that, because with every encounter that he has with his young life now, death is there. So how does that change him? How does he see the world now? How does he interact with the world now? So that's one. And then the second one, yung kiss, oo nga, weird yung kiss, kasi she went. Ayun, I feel like she's probably going to go for the hug first, and then kiss, and probably not a long one, but probably a short, embarrassed one, and then run away na. Now, aside from that though, I'm also a little bit suspicious about Denise. Like, what is up with her and the sick children? Is it just a device to make her more attractive than her friend who just wears midriff shirts? Why is that her thing? Does she have a death in the family? And if she's already dealt with death in her family, why would then she be willing to enter into a relationship with a boy who's about to die when she's already had an encounter with death? Diba? So, yun. Or, I'm also thinking, maybe she's attracted to helpless people. So now, oh, here, a project. I'm gonna love you.
Yeah.
Parang is she more attracted to him now because of that? So then, and then he's going to think, so it's either, pagdating na kay, ano ba yung project? Hey, Denise, I'm sick. I need a kiss. So parang, hindi ko alam. I'm just...
Sinasabi mo, parang hindi.
Yun lang, parang weird yun. Weird, what is up with these? Yun lang.
Sobra siya nakakaaliw.
Mystery sa akin. So there's that. And also, one thing that I would like more is there are some parts that you kind of narrated, but I would like it, like Sir Jun said, I would want to see it unfold. Kasi it's in chapter 7 when he's talking to his mom. Kasi it's his mom who broke the news to him, di ba? Yeah, dramatize it. Like, what words would a mother choose to tell her son? Diba? That, hey, anak, I gave birth to you, but you're dying. Or, and when he said, in page 139, it's the second to the last paragraph, he says that there was no guaranteed way to remove it or make it go away permanently. But that's a chance that you could take now. What words would the boy choose to ask if he's going to survive? Or is he going, that would increase yung drama na I'm dying but I'm not ready to accept it. And he's looking for a way out but he's not a doctor. So, di ba, ano yung mga... So, yun, dramatize some of the scenes. So there, that's it.
A decision has been made that the narrator would be in the I person. Yeah. On page 139, was it on, but anyway, it's some page, page 133, the subject of the narration has just turned 16. Yeah? Okay. Now, I wonder if it will help. How look at page 139? No? How old is the I narrator? No? When I look at page 139, at the bottom of the page, the narrator says, I have never spent much time thinking about when and how I was going to die. Sometimes riding a bus with a reckless driver, I think of getting into a fatal collision. Mostly, I'd always assume I will be old, married, even with grandchildren by the time I kick the bucket. Anong tawag doon? It has a register, a language register. You know, to kick the bucket. Yeah, that's young language, so to speak. Kick the, or at least idiomatic. Anyway, I mean, wasn't that the way things were supposed to go? I was in high school, for Christ's sake. What the hell do you do when you're 16 and are told you may have only a need? I asked myself, how old is this narrator? Yeah?
16.
Yeah. Because that would be important. No? Because if it were narrator looking back to things happening, then the narrator kasi if the narrator were older, he can reflect on
Sabi
what
niya
he
daw, present,
remembers.
literary present, ang
He was
gagamitin.
older.
Kasi
So
gusto ko
if it is-
talaga,
if it is
pero,
taking place yung parang historical present, which is one other way of doing it, then
may mga certain ma'am na hindi siya
the imagining and the
si Sir
reflecting
Jim nakita
on
niya
the event
edad na
will
nagsasabi, when I was
will also
16.
change.
16 dapat talaga siya.
So I thought it might be important
Siguro kailangan
to
niya
find how old the narrator is. If you look,
I think it's an I person. No, itong 16-year-old is the one telling the whole story.
Pero nagsabi kasi siya, when I was 16.
Young adult novels, which is also not default. Right. So I was wondering,
parang I do not get the sense sumusunod. Parang from this from the excerpts that we're reading, that it's following certain kinds of conventions of a young adult novel, which has romance, no? And also yung specific subgenre with terminal disease na klase. So, kung binabasa ko, parang wala pang kilig factor eh. Di ba? When it translates well into film, yung mga interracial with terminal disease, supposedly, na-isolate yung babae at kailangan wish na babae, makita yung ocean for the first time and get a road sub-narrative within there, etc. So, parang mas dense yung plot in terms of that kind of genre. Pero dito, parang di pa pumapasok sa akin yung the very important effect of a romance novel. A romance having a youth-oriented young adult, which is actually your kind of intention that hindi naman talaga ito story about the romance, but more specifically yung main character and the terminal disease is confronting. Yung pangalawa ay yung mundo ng na ito, parang wala nang sociality pa eh. Parang it's just a kind of small school, family, girlfriend kind of sociality. So, parang hindi, although parang maliit lang yung mundo para sa akin. When in fact, pwedeng nagagamit sa encounters with, even small encounters with various people to heighten yung characterization ng lead characters mo. Yung pangatlo pala ay yung idea naman na, well, if it's a novel about a person with terminal disease na ang logical conclusion nito, mamamatay yung tao, I think ang redemption, ang hope naman talaga dito is how well he lived his life. Parang yung, which will be the memory left for the ones left behind, di ba? So parang kung ganito, parang hindi pa rin ako we root for this character at the end of by the end of the novel. And lastly, parang ganda pa na yung idea din na may novel na may terminal disease. Kaya ang sequel pala nito ay a novel with a grief theme na klase na narrative. So pwede ba siya mag-sequel na successful itong namatay, therefore yung girlfriend si Denise, pwede mag-move on or kind of novel na handling the grief naman.
Trilogy pa.
We're getting daw another sick boyfriend, sabi ko.
Well, yung akin lang ay, Jerry, tungkol lang sa football, no? I've lived in several countries where they're crazy about football. Pero, iba yung football sa basketball, no? Kaya kung mo yung mga Pinoy pinanood ng football, gusto nila maraming score, no? Score! Diba, boring mga Pinoy sa football dahil ang bagal kung meron mga score na lumabas, no? So, for Italians, for many decades, I'm thinking, what is the most beautiful game? Of course, the most beautiful game is football. But what is the most perfect game of football? Beautifully. The most beautifully played game is a 0-0 game. Ano? Kaya parang parang striking sa akin sa unang sentence ko because although syempre yung ating thinking it's an ugly game because no one wants to score or no one is scoring. Ano? Pero yung sense of what the beautiful game is about, which of course where you're taking off, ano? Is it has a tradition of thinking about how the game is played. It's far from the aesthetic of a basketball, which goes of course to the basketball game, no? Which goes of course to the fact na talagang elite ang football sa Pilipinas, ano? Kumbaga, kaya nga pumapasok dito yung elite connotations ng game na ito. Hindi siya nagiging kasing popular. Of course, in Indonesia, it's extremely popular. Hindi naman sila sobrang yaman na bansa. It's everywhere, no? Sa mga ordinary mga tao, football. Pero dito, ito talaga yung dating ng football. That's why it becomes framed in this way, you know? And if you're talking about extra time in football, it's a different idea rin from from basketball, di ba? Kasi yung kapag natapos yung game mo ng score, bibigyan ka yung 30 minutes para mag-score. Sometimes wala pa yung score. Yes, pang 30 minutes, pwede ba yan? It's not really extra time, but it's a chance to win the game. So I think you should play more with the metaphor of football and how it's differently structured. It has different expectations and imposes different sense of extra time. Kasi pag binasa mo ito parang basketball extra time, di ba? Pero yung extra time ng football might have a different sensibility to it, no? Para lang ma-decide yung game. And in fact, pwede matapos even after extra time, even after penalty, wala pa rin nanalo, no? Sa isang football game. So, I think yung explore natin yung isang aspect or unexplored. Ngayon, the fact that you already decided na totally incurable yung disease ng person, sort of prejudges yung game. Parang, I think you could have put some more undecidability into it. But putting some more, kasi masyado ng extreme yung disease ka na dito sa hindi na talaga maano. There are various terminal diseases naman na, we're not really sure. No? They're kind of small window, no, ng hope. No? So it might be the case that you were too, that's how you live in a beautiful way, in a beautiful way. You live your life. And you don't know whether still you're going to die or not. So siguro may aspect. Maybe you can play with those things.
Pero just really cultural din kasi yan. For the Italians, it's nil-nil. But the Brazilians will say otherwise. Si Luna
Sa isip niya, napatay. I think that's something for the
My take is, ba't ko naalala yung kabilang sa nawawala ni Ricardo of all stories na itatabi dito sa novel in progress mo. Siguro kaya ko siya naisip kasi yung pagbabago ni Junjun, the main protagonist of that story na desaparecido siya, na parang magdi-decline from a body into nothing. Ang hinahanap ko dun sa story mo ay katulad ng hinahanap din ng iba. Alala ko yung sinabi ni Don kanina, awareness of the body, na pretty soon, hindi na siya kasing busog ng dati. Sa nobela, hindi ba parang pwede namang gawin yung double take? Ang ibig sabihin, pinakita mo yung may description ka. Tapos, titignan niya dun sa the same paragraph na na-realize ng kid na parang ang hati ng mundo sa pagitan ng may kaya at wala dun sa ospital. So, na-diagnose na siya eh. Tapos, meron siyang parang tinawira na portal. Tapos nakita niya yung mga mahirap lang. Pero ang striking dun sa description mo, walang pagpansin dun sa mga mukha ng mga tao. Puro damit. At parang ang catch dun sa, alam niyo na mga mahirap lang sila. Kasi naalala niya yung kasambahay with the duster na ito yung kanyang suot kapag tinatanggal niya yung nasa sinampay, gano'n. So, baka pwedeng, kapag naging aware na siya dun sa kanyang disease, hindi ko alam kung project mo naman to or whatever, diba? Kasi baka I'm looking for an entirely different novel. Pero yung, paano lang magkaroon ng titik yung akda, aside from being a story about how even the dying could, na may need sila to be loved or faith. Nakikita rin niya yung relationship niya dun sa children of that world and himself. Kasi ang tatay ko yung namatay sa cancer. At nakita ko yung decline. At sinubukan kong pasukin yung consciousness din ng isang musical ng dun sa Makimilang Altar na kung saan dumadaan yung character dun sa iba't ibang yugto ng kanyang sakit. Ba ako lumubula? Anyway, baka pwede mong gamitin yung karanasan na sinasabi ni Francis kasi ang halaga ng insight nun na yung nagtali mo dun sa world, pero the pain of the disease is not there.
All, 1 minute tapos extra time na tayo. Dapat penalty shootout.
May kila, sir, balikan ko lang yun sa metaphor ng football na binigay ni Sir Bomen. Kasi when, sa football, at simula balikan yung eksena ng laro na hindi gusto ng team na mapunta sa extra time. So pagdating doon sa dulo, yung sample ending na pinag niyo, sir, na parang hindi ko makita yung magiging metaphor yun. Ito parang gusto niya mapunta sa extra time, pero nagtagpang oras mo. Parang kahit yun man lang, makita mo sa pagtatanim mo ng idea din sa mismong game itself na nasaktan siya sa ulo. So, yan.
Maraming salamat. The opening line, it was an ugly game, is actually my attempt to provide a Robert Cormier sort of beginning to the novel. Robert Cormier's most famous novel, The Chocolate War, begins, they killed him. And they were talking about the American football game at that time. And at that time, Mrs. June, I think I was too quick to bring in the additional characters, and so there was a break in action, and so the ugly game was not maintained. The metaphor and action of the ugly game was not maintained. As for the ugly game being a 0-0, and everybody hates that, both the players and the spectators. Kasi wala man lang sumusubok ng umatake kasi takmang kamali eh. So I was also playing with that as well. So to show it was an ugly game, aside from the fact na madugas yung kalaban niya. What are the other questions? I guess I'll go straight to the issue of that a lot of you pointed out, parang anong silbi ng story na to if he dies in the end. Yan ang problema pag nobela eh, ang daming hindi nabasa na chapters, and I was a bit hesitant about playing around with it kasi again, well, upper class privilege. Tina, the little girl in the ward, ends up being the project, so to speak. That the protagonist decides to, okay, if I have this much time left, let's do something for somebody else besides myself. Kasi nung isa kang, ayaw na niya eh. Alam na niya mamamatay siya. Ba't pa tayo magsasayang ng pera? Ba't pa tayo magsasayang ng pera? Pakapatalim ko yung suffering ko. The heck? But when he realizes that, okay, all that can do something for somebody else, eh, sakay na lang sana. Huwag na isayang sa akin yung treatment. Mamatay din naman ako eh. So she can go to remission. Planning on therapy after operation. And in the intervening chapters, there's a part where he's trying to convince his stepfather and mother, wag na kayo magsayang ng pera sa akin. Kung pwede, kung gusto dito kayo, kasos kayo, dyan na lang. But I also want to plant the seed of doubt in the reader's mind. Is he doing this out of altruism, or is he trying to impress the girl even more? And actually, you're right. The kiss at the end of his encounter with Denise that evening, parang okay, papalik ko pa, hindi. I kept on making versions where they just hug for a while, and then, sige na, so naman ipakis kung mangyayari. But now, that plays even better into the plot line. They don't kiss, so hindi sila. Pero close sila. And he's trying to get there, beyond the closeness. So is his altruism actually one of his methods to, habang tayo nun, eventually kiss din kami kasi sobra siyang mabibilib sa akin. But I don't know, these were complicated things that I wasn't quite sure how to pull off. They're in the intervening chapters right now, but I'm not sure how well I pulled them off, the way they're written, because he and Denise were watching the final game, which he could not play in. So his team was going up against another team for the championship, and just as the game was about to end, his team manages to tie the game at 1-1, but the team captain got injured in the process. So in effect, they're going to extra time, but the team captain can no longer play. He's out of the game. So basically, what's the use? We're gonna lose in extra time without our best player. So that was the metaphor that I was going for at that time. Ano sa extra time na to? Mamakay din naman ako. I don't know how well that played out. I don't know, baka you might have gotten to get in that chapter. But the point na nga is, ano nga ba ang silbi ng extra time niya? And that altruism, I'm still trying to figure out how to execute it properly so that it doesn't look artificial, it doesn't look like somebody just trying to solve his conscience or impress a girl, for that matter. Or do I need to answer those things? And should I just leave it up to the reader to figure things out? Let him do what he wants to do. Because that's how it ends right now. Natulungan niya si Tina kasi yung tatay niya na mayaman. At the end of the story, he's got it all, except for the fact that he has a few more months to live. But he is making the most of what is left. And that's also what's pushing him to, sige na, extra time tayo. Kahit alam kong medyo malabo na mag-ibig sitwasyon ko, let's try to see what else we can do in these last few months that I'm left with. That was the overarching conclusion that I was trying to get at. And I don't know if it would have been effective had you had the missing chapters. Maraming salamat kasi I have gotten a lot of ideas on what to do and how to improve the piece. And I hope those will read it afterwards.
So tayo, abusan na rin tayo ng extra time. At maraming salamat sa pagdalaw niyo ngayon sa ating medical forum. Thanks you, sir.
Constrained siya by the convention.